What's up, everyone, and welcome to Head Empty No Thoughts with Quinton and Jack.
That's because your head is see-through right now, Quinton.
Yeah. I think he's wearing a hat. I forgot it at home. Today, on today's Tier List Tuesday, we are going to be talking about the upcoming balance data slate and some things that we really want to see changed, and we think the game would be dramatically improved if they changed in the upcoming slate. I'm going to go ahead and just start this off with the preface that we have absolutely, positively no idea what's coming.
That is right.
Not the faintest clue.
We do have to say that because people will assume that we know, and we're kind of like hinting.
So
we're not.
We're not.
We don't know.
Don't assume this means anything. Don't assume that the secret information, this is what's coming. This is literally just what we would like to see. The game is in a pretty healthy state right now, by and large, so it's a lot of pretty minor changes.
Yep. If I see anyone on Reddit being like, Art of War confirms balanced data slate will have XYZ, I'm coming for you. You specifically, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Nick, for the happy birthday message. So, yeah, if you don't know who we are Art of War, a competitively focused tournament channel. If you like our stuff, you can check out the War Room. It's our premium stuff. We got all kinds of good goodies in there. You can check it out, thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial. Also, please like and subscribe and all that various YouTuber jazz that we always tell you. It actually really helps us out.
It really does. And here's Horace, there's Horace, everywhere's Horace. Thank you for the super chat. We'll cover all the super chats at the end, but don't worry, we'll get to every single one of them.
Yes. One last thing is we're actually not going to be talking about points in this video because they're kind of their own kit and caboodle.
I'm going to be talking some points.
Yeah, that's fair. I just meant more that our tier list won't include points.
Yeah, it's not going to be on the list of things,
yes.
Although actually kind of is.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk some points.
Broadly speaking, there should be, assume that this goes with points changes. That like, this is your like nice cooked meat, and we really need some flavorful points change sauce to help enhance the flavor of the balance update. Yeah. So, all right. Without further ado, you want to go ahead and just jump right into this?
Yeah, let's hop right in.
All right.
With the cool transitions that you worked on.
I did.
Bring it in.
Yeah.
There you go,
we're trying
Chief.
to up our quality in the new thing. So
oh my God.
Quinton messes around in After Effects for a couple hours and tries to make things look better.
So we got AdMech, and this is Richard's.
This is Richard's suggestion, and I actually quite like it.
Sure. So tell me what doctrinas do, if anything.
So doctrinas are the AdMech general rule, and they currently have two kinds of effects, and you pick each turn. You can either get basically +1 AP if you're shooting at someone in their deployment zone, or -1 AP if you're in your deployment zone, and then coming with that is assault and heavy, respectively. Now, all of these buffs really only affect ranged, and AdMech are a very like a combined arms faction.
I mean, they're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be a bunch of combat options, but none of their buffs really affect combat. So this change, what it basically does is it would give, our intent here is it would give all of the buffs that shooting get just to melee as well. So if your rust stalkers or infiltrators charge someone in their deployment zone, well, all their stuffs get extra AP. Or if you get charged in your deployment zone and you have, I think it's Conqueror up or whatever, you'd be -1 AP. So you'd get the benefits in melee as well.
Yeah. It's not the assault keyword in melee. Don't worry. It would be that extra AP or that reduction of AP.
Yeah, that was what we were trying to do.
I don't think that's like the biggest change.
It's not the biggest change.
It's nice.
It's nice. The problem with AdMech is it's one of those things where the change they need is more substantial than can be fixed in a balance update. We were trying to keep these fairly pared down. Like in an ideal world, we could go through and be like, this data sheet, extra attack here, extra weapon scale. That data sheet, give an extra rule. That one, extra D3 attacks or add sustained or something like that. But that's such a sweeping change that we can't do that. So what the goal here was to add a minor buff to AdMech, which would probably go with some points drops, which I know is unfortunate because AdMech are already a horde army.
They're a horde army that's like hyper expensive too.
Yeah, it's the worst of all worlds.
But I just want all the AdMech players out there to prepare themselves for more chickens.
More chickens. But what we really wanted to do is try and reflect the fact that AdMech are a combined arms army that has every single buff they get basically goes only to shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I can get behind that. It's not like a huge change.
It's not meant to be a huge change. A lot of these are fairly minor.
Yep.
We like I said at the beginning, the game is in a decent state right now, and like AdMech are not awesome. They're, in fact, one of the lower performing armies, but they're not the worst army in the game, and there is some real play there with the Hunter cohort.
Yeah, I know Siegs is actually excited for like Hunter cohort, that sort of thing. You do unfortunately run a bunch of chickens, but it's hard to buff chickens it's hard to buff the army in a way that doesn't just make it like, oh, I'm gonna better chickens.
Yeah, and this would make taser chickens better because if you charge someone in their deployment zone, and remember these are not like if the unit is wholly within. If you have one dude tapped in the back and you get charged by chickens, the chickens would get an extra AP.
Yeah, which I think is totally fine.
Change,
yeah.
So basically, this is what the goal is. You could also, one thing you could do is you could like add a weapon skill or add a ballistic skill or something like that. But that starts to get, you might actually be a little much.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty minor change, and if this isn't enough, then you could kind of go back and add more.
Yeah.
So that was Mr. Siegs's big suggestion.
I think it's a good way to add a little bit more depth to AdMech without just improving power, which I think is cool. I really like changes that broaden the army rather than narrow it down even further, which I think is cool.
And this would help hopefully breathe some life into the more combat-focused units that are really not where you want to be in AdMech right now.
Yeah. Red Rum, but we'll cover all the super chats at the end.
Okay, so this
Don't worry, we'll get to it.
Our next one, number 9, is something that Jack and I actually kind of disagree on.
Pretty
We
substantial.
had like a 10-minute argument before the stream, and then we ended up changing the graphic and stuff like that. So, number 9, we have Thousand Suns.
So if you don't know what Malevolent Charge, Psychic Maelstrom, or Wrath of the Materium do, you're not alone. I didn't either. I mean, I know what the effects are, but I didn't know what the names were. So basically, instead of getting lethal hits, sustained hits, or devastating wounds, you would get lethal hits, sustained hits, or ignores cover. And that's a nerf. Just is. But in exchange, you get sweeping points changes. So,
our issue with Thousand Suns right now is that the army does too much damage, but has too few units that are too not durable. They're not durable enough. It's like the scariest 25 tactical marines, and the problem is if you just drop points, well, then the army does too much damage, and that's a problem. So what we were trying to accomplish here is we think T-Suns should do less damage and have more units.
Yes, and I think they should have significantly more units. If you've ever built a T-Suns army, it is not fun.
It's not.
It is actually pretty horrible to do because you just have to balance. First off, you can't do it, but you have to balance amount of units with amount of damage, with amount of cabal points, with the ability to move on to objectives and actually hold them with durable units. And you can't balance all of those. And you will go crazy trying. Trust me, I know. Is so not. I was thinking about taking the army to WCW, and I just couldn't make the army even function. Let alone play well. Just function as an army.
The issue with it is that it is the best, scariest 25 tactical marines in the entire game, but at the end of the day, it really is just 25 tactical marines. They move 6, they're toughness 4, they have 2, they have a 5 invuln, but like doesn't matter a lot of the time. So like random things that break behind your line, like an Autarch Weight Leaper is scary to 5 rubrics.
Yeah, he'll shoot one grenade, he'll do grenade, shoot, charge, kill the unit, and then you had like 5 units, and now you have 4 and now things fall apart.
So like, how do you survive against Night Spinners? So all of that, but on the flip side, you have like these terrifying characters that are like, that's an Imperial Knight, goodbye.
It doesn't do that much damage.
What was the math that you said right now? You could have like the one funny dude kill like 9 Sword Terminators or something like that?
No, he killed like 4 or 5 if you poured like 3 CP and like 15 Cabal points into him.
So it's
and 12-inch range.
It's an unrealistic example, but the point is that your army does hit fantastically hard. So they need to do less of that and then just have more stuff.
Yes, I don't think they need to hit dramatically less hard. I think they can still be reasonably elite. But they need to have enough units to play 40k, and they don't right now.
They need like 20% less damage and like 20% more things.
I mean, I would even say 20% less damage, like 30% more things.
We can agree to disagree on the exacts.
So your proposed change...
My proposal was instead of... Basically, you ignores cover and sustained hits get swapped or whatever. You get lethal hits, ignores cover, and +1 to wound. And the reason I did that was because you already have Magnus for +1 to wound. So what it What it does instead is it allows you, A, to either not take Magnus, or to be more independent of Magnus. Because as it currently stands, the army is this like hyper death ball around Magnus, but if he's not there, you actually don't do that much.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I think lethal hits sustained hits actually does significantly less than you were saying. Now that I'm thinking about it,
a lot of your guns are flamers.
A lot of the guns are flamers. Ignores cover is nice against, actually +1 to wound save sustained might even be better for the Thousand Suns.
Yeah, so I think
but it's possible. That's actually probably true.
Yeah.
But ignores cover is a really good way to get around the fact that your Thousand Suns are incredibly weak to 2-up armor saves and cover
if
they can't turn it off.
Yes.
So if you have one 10-man Terminator unit, you can kill it. If you have 2 5-man Terminator units, you can kill one. You just cannot deal with the second, full stop. You're all AP1, AP2, no ignores cover. Yeah. And most of that's actually AP1. So if you take away devastating wounds, you lose your ability to deal with 2-up saves, like full stop. Yeah. So ignores cover helps a lot there.
But it is worse than Death Wounds.
It is
by
worse.
A notable margin.
So a lot of T-Suns already ignores cover, but those aren't the psychic weapons. Yeah. Those would be the flamers that are AP1. And I believe the Screamer Invocation off the guy that throws the super flame.
The Infernal Master?
The Infernal Master. Screamer Invocation off him is AP2, no ignores cover.
Yeah.
So with this would actually like help crack through those things when you need it.
Yeah, I mean the goal is just to mellow out the damage but increase the amount of things.
It's possible that sustained hits should be assault.
It's possible.
It's possible.
You could futz with the like exact things. We didn't like extensively playtest this or whatever. At all. We made this like this morning. But this is the gist of it is you change these so that they are worse than they currently are, and then you add more stuff so the army does those things and has more.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even be against Twist of Fate going up in cost to like 10 or something, and just getting the ability to deal with our 2-up armor saves better across the board.
Confession, I actually don't hate Twist of Fate as a mechanic.
I don't hate it either.
As someone who's played with and against Thousand Suns, it is very resource intensive. Yeah, you can only do it you get to it like once or twice a game.
Yeah, people don't really see the people see Twist of Fate and they lose their unit, and they don't like that. And that is a negative play experience, and I get it, and that's a perfectly valid way to feel. Like it does suck to have your cool unit, no armor saves, dead. Yeah. Richard did not like it when his immortals had no saves. I don't care if you have armor, contempt, or cover, they're gone. But what you don't see on the other end is that that's probably all that's happening that turn. Yeah. Because, or all that's happening with resources. Because you're going to use up most of your Cabal points doing that. Or enough that you get like one other effect. And, you aren't going to deal with 2-up saves other than that. Yeah. Like that's your only way to do it. So I think ignores cover is a great one. I think the sustained hits or lethal hits could be swapped. Lethal hits could be assault. Sustained hits could be assault. Yeah. Or it could be +1 to wound if you want to do that.
I actually don't hate that because it means the army is less dependent on Magnus and you can start looking at other build options.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways you can go with it. It would honestly probably require a good amount of games to see where the exact right. Because you don't want T-Suns to do too much already, right? Yeah. A whole bunch of stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Glarg, they already have the banner, the Icon of Flame, to get +1 to wound, or +1 AP on crit wounds. So I don't think they need that. But there's a lot of ways to mess with it, but I think the big one is Dev Wounds needs to go. Yes. Because the weapons that already have Dev Wounds in T-Suns, and there are some that already have it.
Magnus's guns.
One of Magnus's guns. Magnus's Close Combat. There's like another one. Yeah. Those ones are balanced around having Dev Wounds, but having it on like everything, it's a little much.
You just start to melt everything.
Yep. Yeah. And I can't emphasize enough how much this needs to be coupled with massive points drops, so that the army can play the game of 40k.
It does. It really this is a nerf, and the intent is this goes with significant points drops.
Yeah. Because just having 25 tactical Marines as my entire army. That cost way too many points because you have to join them with a character just to have Cabal points to play the game sucks. It sucks so bad, Quinton. I want it to stop. I want to play my army.
You just gotta paint it nice and pretty.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to my pet project, the one that I'm most excited about on this list.
I like it. Let's go.
And that is the Drukhari. So here is the issue with Drukhari, is you can't individually make any unit better, because if you do that, then Ynnari takes that, and that becomes an issue.
Yes.
So what Drukhari need right now is they don't need a buff to their shooting. Lance spam is already kind of dumb. What is a toaster?
All right. We're getting to the super chats at the end. Quinton, don't get distracted.
Okay.
Let's go.
What Drukhari actually need is better combat. And so we think the best way to fix that is to give each in an ideal world, to make the codex, each detachment should be giving some kind of benefit to when they're using pain tokens in melee. So real space raid, what we were saying is in melee, if you're in a real space raid, pain tokens give you +1 to wound and +1 attack. And if you're led by a character, you get real wounds as well. I know the Archon kind of already does this, but the Archon is garbage. And this makes the garbage characters worth a little bit more. As it currently stands, the issue is that you're like, this is my primo expensive combat unit led by a character. I didn't kill 3 Nurglings.
Yes. The Drukhari got their combat units nerfed between editions so hard.
I think
they used to be a really deadly close combat army.
Not.
And now they are garbage in combat. Even with +1 to wound, +1 attack, and reroll wounds if you have a character. I still don't think they're that great, because you don't have a lot of staying power in combat.
So, Incubi, for example. Incubi between 9th and 10th edition lost a weapon skill, an attack, a strength, an AP, and a damage.
Yeah.
Well,
damage on crits.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
they didn't, yeah.
There's strength 4 AP 2 with 3 attacks.
Yes.
What?
I think 4 attacks with +1 to wound at strength 4, reroll wounds. I like Drukhari having low strength. I feel like that makes sense. They're dirty little elves.
Yeah.
But +1 to wound, reroll wounds is a great way to have a low strength weapon, actually be able to kill stuff, and I think that's really good. Sanoct, I would say I probably want T-Suns to gain 300 to 400 points.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah. Something like that. Probably not 500 or something like that, where they turn into a horde army.
Go back to where they were.
Yeah, I want to be able to take a lot of units again. Not even a lot, just a reasonable number.
So what this does also is it fixes the fact that the real space raid detachment is actually useless. A lot of my Drukhari lists basically are playing with no detachment roll, because they don't take the characters because they're just bad.
Yeah. It's a common mistake to try to play to try to build to take advantage of all of your rules when the rules are bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think this would go a long way. It would also make Incubi interesting. There's just a lot of things that this makes more interesting in combat.
Are witches 3 attacks at strength 3?
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, they're real bad.
Oh no.
No, the army universally lost to strength and AP attack and damage, on everything. The combat got just very nerfed.
Yes. Yeah, I think this would totally be a great idea.
Yeah. This also doesn't impact Ynnari at all.
It's also not like Drukhari would be broken with this, because they're not particularly fast.
That's the thing, is they're not.
And they don't have any staying power at all.
They just evaporate.
So you still aren't going to get in big brawls with people, because you're not going to survive the crackback on any of those any of those fights.
Your army is still toughness 3 with a 6 up invuln, and 1 wound each. But so your army is less fast, there's less damage. Your shooting is a lot better, but it's not actually that great.
Yeah.
The Scourge's Fire and Fade only being 6 means they're very different than Hawks, because you have to really hug the terrain pieces, and it's very easy to not let that happen.
Yes. It's also, as soon as you catch line of sight to them, they vanish.
Or if you have any indirect at all.
Or if you have any reserves coming in, you have to screen that out. Because 5 scouts coming in off a board edge can reasonably crack through several Scourges. You throw a grenade, you shoot, they're all dead.
Yeah, and then you charge and kill the other unit. It's not,
Yeah.
Or if you have, if you're playing against a guard and they have 1 mortar in their command squad or whatever, that's a realistic amount of shooting to kill Scourges.
Yeah.
I think there was a good game where I played against Nyx's Demons, not an army known for having damage. And the problem was he was wow, my Great Unclean one has a random flamer, dead.
Which is fine. That's Drukhari, but they need to actually hit.
Yeah.
They can't punch you and have that scene in a movie where, the Juggernaut is walking forward and the guy goes, oh!
Yeah, that's every Drukhari combat ever.
He just doesn't move at all.
Yeah. Which it should be anti-infantry.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go into number 7?
I would love to.
Number 7, Imperial Knights.
What's up with that? What's up with bondsmen being just destroyed?
Knights got the venerated like quintuple nerf.
Yeah, they got the triple. They got hit with massive points increases. They got
devastating rules changes, and towering no longer works.
Yes. Towering no longer got to cheese people. They got massive points increases, and bondsman oaths got removed from the game.
I think without towering knights, we're like probably fine.
Yes, they were. They were totally fine. They got points increases to reflect that they were towering, and then towering changed.
Yep. So I think the intent here is you revert the bondsman nerfs, so they go back to where they were, and then you revert a lot of the point changes.
Yeah. So if you don't know how bondsman oaths worked, you would target one of your armigers within 12, or 6, 12, I think 12. You would target them within 12, and they would get an effect, and you would get an effect, right?
Yep, it's the same effect.
The big knight would give out an effect and receive the effect.
Yep.
And that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It was pretty damn all right. It was good.
Yeah,
it was a good rule.
Fine. Yeah.
What they changed it to,
yeah,
you had to take baby knights. You took a mix, right? You're not chaos knights. You took all war dogs. You'd have like 3 bigs and like 4 smalls, and that's what an Imperial Knight list should look like anyway. And you would be getting cool effects on your big knights for having armigers. There's counterplay, because if you can kill the armigers, then the big knights lose their effects because they can't hand it out, because you have to hand it out to receive it. It's a cool rule. The problem is they changed it to only the armiger gets the benefit, and that removes fully 3/4 of the effect of the bondsman oaths.
Yeah, it's like, nah.
Yes, I really, really wanted this effect for my 140 point armiger. Definitely not like my 450 point knight.
Yeah, so you don't do that anymore. You get that back, and then you probably gain like an extra armiger and a half's worth of points. I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, I think reverting the nerf to bondsman, you can add like some amount of points, but I think that's where it should start.
I want every knight to go down like 10 points, and then their melta-guns to become a 5-point upgrade. So you can have some
an upgrade?
I know what I said.
A points-based upgrade? What is that? I've never heard of that before. Can you explain this?
I know what I said.
What is this concept?
This concept is each piece of war gear, if it's better, you pay more points.
You're a witch. Burn him.
Yeah. Okay. So basically that's that. Just make knights better. They're just bad. Knights in your cards need to be better. They're the 2 worst army in the game right now.
Yeah, they're pretty rough. They're pretty rough.
All right. Okay, this one is another one of my pet ones. And I was not as harsh as I could have been, but it's a change to indirect fire.
So if you want to remove the current indirect penalty, you psycho?
I know.
No.
I need full power knight spinners. So basically, if you weren't around the 9th edition, indirect used to be -1 ballistic skill +1 armor save, and then in 10th edition, it went to
-1 to hit and
cover, which is significantly worse.
It's worse in a way that I guarantee you they didn't understand.
Yes.
So if you think about it, -1 ballistic skill, -1 to hit are the same thing.
Yep.
And if you think about it, cover and +1 armor save are the same thing. Obviously. So ship it.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that -1 to hit can be compensated for by +1 to hit.
Yep.
Especially if you get like +2,
and if
you're right back to where you were.
-1 to hit, it doesn't stack.
It doesn't. Yes, that's also big. There's no counterplay because you can't go -1 to hit. In response, they're like, that's already baked in. Don't worry. And then cover is not the same as +1 armor save.
Yeah.
It is in the abstract, but if you would already get cover,
which you literally by definition do.
By definition, you already do. So it's kind of pointless that they put that in there.
Yeah.
If you would already get cover, then it doesn't stack. And since cover is so common in this game, and that means that that essentially part of indirect fire thing doesn't exist, because that applies to most direct fire weapons too.
Yeah.
That they would get cover. So that part doesn't matter. And then if they have +1 ballistic skill, or if they have +1 to hit, which cancels it out, or they have +2 to hit, which would cancel out the -1, or if you have an additional -1 you want to use, that all doesn't matter either. And so what it means is a decent amount of the time the indirect fire nerf doesn't matter. The -1 to hit matters a lot more than the cover save.
It does.
But you need to be able to stack your defenses on top of what the indirect nerf is. Because the indirect nerf shouldn't just be replacing the defenses you already had. Right? Like if you are already -1 to hit and already in cover, there is no indirect nerf.
Yep.
At all. And so you need to be able to stack your defenses with this. In 9th edition, there was almost no way around the indirect fire nerf. There was basically none. Armies either had to take indirect and take the indirect penalty, or they just didn't take indirect.
Yeah.
They couldn't find some sneaky loophole to get around it. Now everybody's heavy, which compensates for the -1 to hit, and then you're already in cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you ignore cover or something. Or they have a 3-up armor save. Because a 3-up armor save to a Night Spinner, I don't care. You have cover? What's cover? I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
But +1 armor save would actually help. -1 ballistic skill is much harder to get around than -1 to hit. Guard can kind of, but still. So I think they need to do a change like this.
I personally, if it were up to me, if I had a magic wand, I would remove the indirect fire keyword from the game entirely. I think it is bad for the game.
So it's either pointless or breaking the game, and there's no in between.
There's no in between, right? No one is like, oh yeah, I'm fine with indirect fire.
I'm sure there are some people in the chat who are fine with indirect.
Sure. But I guess my experience is that like you said, either indirect is useless or it's way too good. And I don't want to have to keep going through and fixing each individual instance. It's kind of like aircraft. They just kind of slapped it with a giant nerf and said, go away forever.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with indirect being indirect.
Yeah,
because, I went to WCW and I played against 3 indirect pieces, it was 8 out of my 9 games or something like that.
You also played with 3 indirect pieces for 9 of your 9 games.
Yeah, but the point was that every Eldar player, 3 Night Spinners, all Death Guard player, 3 Plague Scholars, Space Marines, 3 Whirlwinds, me, 3 Night Spinners. They were just everywhere. And that's the fact of this, the system itself is broken, and I think this would go a long way towards fixing that, and it would make the game a lot more about positioning rather than I have the best indirect and I'm going to kill you with math.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indirect fire just basically it doesn't have to break the game, but it is an avenue to break the game.
Yeah. Because
line of sight is the great equalizer for shooting weapons. And the fact you have to get it means you have to move to places, your opponent can counterplay that. It's a very good system of play, counterplay, line of sight. Where does your opponent have to go to get to do X, Y, Z? Yeah. Indirect fire, you sit on your backboard edge and you just kill stuff.
Yep.
And it's pretty dumb if those units... It's fine if those units can kill 5 guardsmen or something. Yeah, that's totally okay.
Chaos Knight indirect, totally fine.
Totally fine.
Whole army combines fire, you kill half an aspect warrior unit. That's fine.
That's fine.
Right?
That's fine. You can kill some Kroot Hounds or something.
Yeah.
But indirect fire shouldn't be killing real units because then first turn matters massively. It also removes a lot of the interaction between players.
Yeah.
And I think I agree. I think indirect fire should have a nerf that is much harder to get around and where you can stack your own defenses on top of it.
And there is the people in the chat are bringing up guard. I think that's a valid point. Guard or an indirect style army. I think that just guard need other things to compensate for the fact that their indirect will be worse.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, guard have some really good direct fire guns. They have some really good chaff screening units.
Nuts.
It is very good. The Dorn is very good. If they got some points decreases to compensate for indirect being worse, I wouldn't be against it.
Yep. All right, you want to go ahead and move on to number 5?
Yep.
So this one is specifically aimed at Custodes, but is going to be catching a lot of other things with it.
Yes.
And that is a change to Feel No Pain Against Mortal Wounds. So a lot of units in the game had a Feel No Pain Against Mortal Wounds. The Lion, the Norn Queen thingamajiggers, the Norn emissaries.
Custodes do. The Terminator Chaplain gives you a 4-up against mortals.
Yeah.
A lot of things like that. Dark Angels with their Watchers in the Dark.
Yeah.
Got it. And Devastating Wounds used to proc that. Used to be immortals. In an effort to nerf Devastating Wounds, they accidentally buffed Devastating Wounds in several use cases.
Yes.
So they wanted to nerf Dev Wounds specifically to get around a lot of Eldar units.
Yes.
Right? They wanted to nerf Eldar units that had Devastating Wounds that could splash and just do 27 mortal wounds and kill an entire unit. Absolutely no one whose opinion I respect was on board with that happening.
It was really
right.
It was very dumb.
So they looked at the Wraith Knight. I was not in the room for this, I promise you, but I guarantee you, they looked at the Wraith Knight and they said, we want this to stop killing whole units.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair, totally fine change.
Totally fine change. Totally fair.
Yeah.
So what they did was they just made Feel No Pain, or they made Devastating Wounds, not interact with Mortal Wounds at all.
Yeah.
Devastating Wounds now is just a save. You cannot pass. So there you go. You take the damage.
Yep.
The problem is by decoupling it from Mortal Wounds, Feel No Pain Against Mortals became pointless almost. What, a grenade?
Grenades and tank shocks? Yeah.
Like, I'm going to take a grenade, a tank shock, like some, a squig mine, like, whee! Like, the biggest use case, like, Custodies went from really good into Devastating Wounds to horrible into Devastating Wounds, like that.
So this basically would fix all of that. It would make your Feel No Pain Against Mortals useful. It would make Custodies a lot better. It would fix a lot of the units that don't have a point anymore because they no longer provide a Feel No Pain Against Devastating Wounds.
Yeah.
And I think this is a fairly elegant solution that makes the game function a lot more closer to intended.
Yeah, and I think it would bring a lot of those abilities back in line to where they were trying to be when they made them, right? Because Custodies are very elite.
Yep.
But if you have Devastating Wounds, they just fall over. Like, they just immediately die.
It's hilarious how fast it is.
Same thing with any Terminators that you purchased a Terminator Chaplain for.
Yeah.
It matters a lot, the fact that those Feel No Pains Against Mortals now don't work against Devastating Wounds, because Devastating Wounds are how a lot of armies do damage.
Again, I debated just making this like the Custodies change, but I think the fact is there are other units that have this rule, so we just put it here. Mainly, it's like aimed 80% at Custodies and 20% at all the other niche cases.
Yeah, and I don't think Custodies need much more than this to be like right back in it.
Yep.
I think they need this and maybe like 180 points of points drops.
100 or 80, not 100 and 80?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
100 or 80 or somewhere in that vicinity.
Like one more character would be fine.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you leave the units where they're at. You just drop the characters back to their index values because they got 20 points a model higher.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little ridiculous. Terminators can go down 5 at 70. You're just not taking.
Yeah.
Like, you can take them, but they're not great. But the biggest thing that Custodians need is just their Feel No Pain Against Mortals to apply to Devastating Wounds again. Yeah. Because now a Forge Fiend looks at them and just goes, bye. Or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another one. This one, there's two ways of fixing this next one.
Yes.
And there's one that I prefer, and there's one that the house kind of prefers. Number 4 is the free stratagems. So there's kind of two options. The first is you just remove the battle tactic restriction entirely. And you just say, we go back to how it was, any free strat can be used on any stratagem.
Yeah, for context, basically everyone here is just kind of like, we don't really know why this was changed.
Yeah.
It made a lot of armies non-functional because they didn't, obviously they couldn't have balance.
Yeah, if we're starting to come out with like detachments that have 0 battle tactics.
Yeah, because before it was relatively random which strats would be which because they weren't balancing around it because it wasn't a rule.
Yeah.
So the things that are battle tactics are just randomly battle tactics. There's no oh, well, this one is designed to be used free, and these are designed to not be used free.
Yep.
They were all designed to be used free, just some of them do and some of them don't.
Yeah. So you end up with detachments where they're like, wow, we have 4 really awesome ones, and some detachments literally don't have any.
Yeah.
So the other way of fixing this is a lot more annoying, is that you go through individually and you look at every single strat and every single detachment and you decide which are battle tactics and which are not.
Yeah, I think what you could do is instead of having a type of stratagem that you can make free, I think you have a type of stratagem that you cannot make free.
I think that's probably better.
And you balance the really expensive, really important strats in that.
Yeah.
And then that I think would be, if you wanted to restrict free strats, I think that would be how you do it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessary. I really don't. I don't know what was screaming out to...
GSC.
GSC still do it.
But they don't like do a lot of... They do like half as much. It was GSC mostly, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's hard to say. I think the problem is it's a clunky change. The worst thing is you have to stop every time and look up what are battle tactics and what are not. And it's not very intuitive.
Well, yeah, also a game-wide nerf to hit one faction feels odd.
I think they just wanted people to be using free strats less because they were really strong.
Yeah, and also CP generation access to free strats, as Dan Maxey said, it's very uneven. Some Eldar, for example, had no free strat access, but they had a really good character that just gives you a free CP every turn. right? If you're Calgar, if you're Azrael, if you're a Way Leaper, if you're anyone, Junith, if you're anyone who gives a CP, that's really good. And now free strats got way worse.
Yeah.
So I think you just either roll it back to where it was. I don't see the need for the change, honestly. Like, roll it back to where it was.
I personally would prefer the evaluation of battle tactics. I like what you were saying, is that you, instead of saying these are the stats you can, you say these, 2 strats per detachment can't be free.
Yeah.
Right? You put like a little asterisk or a skull symbol or something next to them.
Yes. Yeah, cannot be made free. You make it like, if they really want to keep doing like Epic Deed, War Gear, Battle Tactic, or whatever to differentiate the fluff of the strats, I don't think I think you do what you said, like put a little skull symbol, a little icon on it that says, nope, cannot be made free, sorry.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You say like, legendary ability or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Custodes fight first, I don't think is that important because you can't do it multiple times in a turn and have any effect.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Yep. So up next, Jack, we're starting to get into the more targeted nerfs, ones that we think should be individual units that we think are crying out for a hammer.
Yes.
And the first one, there were many ways of changing it.
Number one in my heart
is the Night Spinner.
So I think there's a couple ways to change this. One, you make it do less damage.
Yep.
So twin linked, bye-bye. Or make it damage 1.
Yep.
One of those two.
Yep. Or you remove the no advance part of its movement restriction.
Right.
So it does damage or it slows you, not both.
Yes, because current Night Spinners do a surprising amount of damage.
It's actually kind of a lot.
It actually is quite a lot.
Yeah.
And so they do a lot of damage, especially in triples, and you can just make armies not be able to move.
Yeah.
It is a miserable play pattern
to
play into.
Yeah, it's not good.
And to play with for a long time as you...
It gets real boring after a while.
Yeah.
Because every game is the same.
Make them either not do as much damage or not slow. Yeah. One or the other. You can't do both. So that way it's a damage piece or it is
a slow piece.
And you can take... Hey, if you took one Night Spinner, it does a little bit of damage and it slows, that's fine. That's fine. Taking 3, killing, and slowing, no thank you.
It's not great.
Yeah.
So the other thing you could conceivably put in this number 3 spot, I think, is the King card. Is you just make her ability the same as it was in 9th edition, where she can't charge after she teleports. But I honestly think fixing Night Spinners goes a long way towards fixing the Incarn, because you can't fastball her.
Yeah, I would much rather have the Incarn in the game as is than Night Spinners in the game as is.
I agree. Because the Incarn is really annoying, but a lot of times if she gets fastballed, she just dies.
Yes.
It's just actually that hard.
Also, why do Night Spinners slow you the most out of any army?
I don't know.
It's -2 move.
And you cannot advance.
And you are not allowed to advance. Not -2. You just stop doing that.
Yeah. It's not great.
I think it's just -2 move, no other text would also be pretty dope.
Be fine. That's what I was saying,
Yeah.
So if you keep the damage, but then it becomes a damage piece, not a slow piece, and you're like fine, right? You do one or the other.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, I think Night Spinners need to get hit in the mouth.
I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna go on a little elfy rant. And as is my right as an elf player. And that is I do not want to see Eldar points hikes. And here's why. Because like T-Suns, I think the army is already starting to approach a point where the army is becoming unplayably thin in stuff.
Yes. You need a certain level of units to play the game.
But I am aware that Eldar are too good. So I want to, instead, I want to see Eldar's, I want to see the rules get worse, but the points stay the same.
Yeah.
So I think if you fix Night Spinner and then you include Night Spinners and you include the other change that is on this list, I think Eldar basically become probably fine.
Yeah. I think it's the same as like T-Suns, right? You make the rules worse, and T-Suns get massive points drops, whereas Eldar make their rules worse and don't give them increases.
Yep.
I think that's totally fair. I agree. They have very few units in their army.
Yeah.
And currently they just do too many things, and so they're the best or second best army in the game.
Yep.
But if you remove that, I think they're fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2. This is one that I would love to see in the game because I hate this army with a burning passion. See some stratagems.
You can tell who made these. But yes, Profane Zeal is... So Profane Zeal is the reroll hits and wounds.
1 CP, 4 rerolls to hit and wound.
Yep.
Why?
Yep. And Cloud of Flies is the Nurgle strat for cannot be targeted. And then also I want to add on no mark mixing in here. So no putting undivided units in Nurgle Rhinos.
I think with this it's probably fine.
With this it's probably fine. I think you do no mark mixing and you say vehicles can't be targeted outside 18.
Yeah, I think that could also work.
Yeah.
There's
so
ways to
everyone
fix
who has put up a super chat, we appreciate you very much. We'll get to them all, no exceptions. We'll get to them all at the end.
Yes.
And we're almost there.
Yep. So Profane Zeal, CP, no battle tactic. Basically, this limits the amount of times you can actually use it dramatically, because it's 2 CP off the bat. So that way, if you're like, I'm going to shoot you with this Forge Fiend, then you're chosen to get rerolls, something like that. Yeah. Or if you do, you have to budget up and you're not using CP.
I even think 2 CP, yes, battle tactic could be okay, but...
CSM do a lot.
CSM do a lot of damage.
I think the extent to which you change the strats depends on the extent to which you're willing to change the points.
Yes.
I think if you dramatically increase the cost of Chosen and Lords and things like that, then it's probably fine. But as it currently stands, this is a big change.
Yeah.
And then Cloud of Flies, the Nurgle Forge Fiend and Nurgle Rhinos are way too dumb. Lone up on a large target like that is not acceptable, in my opinion.
Yeah, you shouldn't have a unit that reliably shoots with no buffs, right?
Yep.
Like the Nurgle Forge Fiend does not need any buffs. It reliably shoots with no buffs and does a lot of damage.
Yep.
And then when you go to shoot it back, you can't. You literally have to hope that it destroys itself shooting. That's it. That's the only way to interact with it.
So a note here. We actually talked a lot as to whether or not we think CSM should be changed with packs. And our conclusion was that we think packs as a system is actually really elegantly designed.
It's too good.
It is too good, but we didn't want to mess with it because we really like the way it works mechanically.
It really has good flavor for rewarding each of the gods doing a different thing in either shooting or melee. And there's no real way to change that without just making them all the marks the same.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can say no crit 5s, but then what's the point of being Nurgle over Slanesh? And
they also the packs. I forgot what I was going to say. I had a profound thought. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You'll get there.
I'll get there eventually.
But with the stratagems change, that really helps a lot. Because the main point of Undivided is to be able to just Profane Zeal your heart out.
Yes.
And you can't do that as much. And the biggest point of being Nurgle a lot of the time is to have like a Rhino or a Forge Fiend not be targetable. And now that also doesn't work. I think having it be 18 inches and then not letting Undivided go in Rhinos,
that'd be fine.
In Nurgle Rhinos would also be fine.
Yeah.
I think if you couple these changes with points increases,
you fix CSM.
I think CSM would be fine. I don't even think they need like a ton. They just need their units to go up a little bit.
Yeah.
Chosen are at a very stupid price point of 110 for 5.
Yes.
Why are they 22 points a model, Quinton? Why?
I don't know.
They need to be 24, 25 points a model at least. Lords need to be like 85. Although if the Lord doesn't make Profane Zeal is free, it's fine. Lord can be 75. I think a lot of other things in there are fine. I just think they're cheap units that hit way too hard. Need like a love tap, like 10, 15 points onto a 5-man. And I think it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. There's a lot of talk of people who suggested if you packed before you mark, and if you fail, you don't get the benefit. But that also kind of feels bad.
We talked about that,
yeah,
actually.
we did. Because it makes a lot of units have icons. They can reroll. It's this weird system where it relies a lot on, whoops, I failed my pack test. Now my army doesn't do anything. Or whoops, I passed all my pack tests. It's still just as broken as before.
Yeah.
So
this at least hits the stratagems that really enable the honestly truly degenerate combos that CSM has. And if you tack on some points changes, like just adjusting several units up 10 points, I think you're fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Chosen, I think, need to be 25 points a model. What are we doing?
Probably 25. I might even go higher than that, but
Yeah.
25 probably the ballpark.
Yeah.
They're too cheap right now.
Yeah.
Okay. The number one change I would like to see. We talked a lot about this one. I'll explain different ways that we talked
There's
about it.
a lot of different ways to mess with this.
We thought this one was the most elegant, and that is Phantasm cannot be used on Wraith units.
Yep. The alternate one was 9 inches.
Yep, that you make it the same as squad tactics from Space Marines, the Gladius.
But it moves 7 instead of D6.
Yep.
So that's I think that not being able to use on Wraith units is fine.
Yeah.
I think that's enough. I think it is good, but it can be.
I think if you hit at this point, you're hitting Wraith Guard, and you're hitting substantially. You're hitting Wraith Guard very substantially, and you're hitting Night Spinners.
Yes, I don't know if Wraith Guard are taken if Phantasm changes like this.
Actually, don't know if you do
Because
they're very clunky.
They're super clunky if they just move 6.
Yep.
Because Phantasm on them is 1 CP move twice.
Yeah.
1 CP avoid all damage.
Yep.
Because they're Wraith Guard are not impossible to kill.
They're annoying to kill, but if you have the right profiles, they just fold.
Yes.
Yep.
But they rely on using Phantasm to just not get hit by those profiles, right? Sword Brethren, Forge Fiends, things like that have mass 2 and 3 damage that'll wound them on good values.
Yeah.
Or Sword Brethren plus a Captain with a Power Fist.
Yeah. Or a Forge Fiend, things like that.
Or Forge Fiend, or like even just Custodes walking up and just hitting you with spears.
Yeah.
You take a lot of damage there. But against things that would do a lot of damage,
You just leave.
You just run away.
Yeah.
You get behind a wall, and with careful play, Wraithguard basically are uninteractable.
My Wraith Guard only ever get attacked if I am accepting they're going to get attacked.
Yes.
Right? Like, you only get to hit my Wraith Guard if I let you hit them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that their shoot back. Somebody mentioned in the chat that they have to shoot back at the unit that shot them. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I think if you change Phantasm, you might not ever have to shoot at them again because they might not be taken.
Mm-hmm.
A move 6 unit in Eldar is just not great.
It's not that great. It also makes no sense that Wraith's supposed to be these big clunky things, whereas like or all the rest of the Eldar units are like supposed to be fast, and they should Phantasm, but the Wraith Guard just shouldn't.
Yeah.
I also think Phantasm should be allowed to use on mounted units. I think bikes should get it, but whatever.
So the problem with Wraithguard is that they get a lot of value out of when you try to interact with them, they prevent you with Phantasm.
Yep.
And so then that opens them up to being able to counterpunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go to deal with them, they leave a little bit, and then they come back and they hit the thing that tried to hit them. Or if you don't try to interact with them, that's not winning there because then they get to double move.
Yep, they go forward.
And without that, I think Wraithguard are fine.
Yeah.
I honestly think they're okay.
Yeah. So why don't we take some time now that we're kind of here and talk about what are some points changes we want to see?
Yes, and then we'll get to the super chats.
Yep. So I think broadly speaking, there are a lot of the factions that are towards the bottom. I think want to get increases, and then you kind of, like we talk about TSM, should get like a lot of love taps at the top.
Yeah.
I think you could even, if you made these changes at Eldar, could probably even increase the list a little bit. Not like a lot, but a little bit.
I think Space Marines need some changes.
Yes.
I think Sword Brethren could stand to go up 5 to 10 per 5.
Yeah.
I think Inceptors could stand to go up 10 per 3.
I think Scouts could probably go up 10 or 15.
I think 10 is fine.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those units, right, can stand to go up a bit.
Yeah.
And then just kind of sand away at the edges so that you get like one less scout unit or something at the end. You don't get 3, you get 2. And like, I think that's probably
There are a lot of factions that actually have pretty good external balance but need better internal balance. And that is just going to require like more precision internally.
Yes. I mean, I want Sanguinary Guard to go down in points again. They went down 8 points a model, and you still don't see them.
Yeah, that's not
because
great.
they were 43 a model on release.
They were twice as much as the Chosen?
Yes. Yes. And they had 2 wounds, just for the record.
They're 2 wounds?
They're 2 wounds.
Sanguinary Guard should get a 3rd wound.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of like internal balance stuff where
Yeah.
like some units in a codex could stand to go down.
Yep.
I think demons. We didn't have any demon changes on
Demons
here because
just-
when we asked Nick, he didn't mention any.
He didn't. No, the demons.
Blame him.
I don't think demons need like massive rules changes. They just need to go back to where they were points wise.
Yeah, I think they just need their points to drop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just need point drops. Like we could sit here all day and talk about, this unit should go up 2, this unit should go down 5, that unit should go up 10.
I mean, we can talk about our pet armies, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think Custodes could stand to drop like 100 points.
I think
Just the characters, make the characters less clunky, drop them. They were all raised 20 points each, which felt a little unnecessary.
Yeah.
By the way, little PSA here. What I don't want them to do to Custodians, what I really, really strongly do not want them to do is to revert the squad size nerf. I think that...
I think Squads of 10 was dumb.
Yeah, Squads of 10 guard was so boring. It was so boring. I love my Custodians. I do not want to have my optimal army be 30 shields, 30 spear guard, Squads of 10 with a character. It was so boring.
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Do you remember the meta where it was Wraith Knights shooting at Squads of 10 Custodian Guard?
I do.
What a game that was.
I'm happy we're not there anymore.
Yeah, well,
I want to run my 6-man units of 5 wardens and a character. I love those units. I don't want to run a 10-man squad that doesn't do anything. It just walks across the board at you.
Chat's pointing out Deathwatch should get some changes. They could probably also stand to get some love.
Yeah.
Just some reversing of the nerfs or some points drops or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Deathwatch definitely needs something. They were pretty damn good, and then they became pretty damn not good.
Hey, wow. Yeah.
So I think they.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually have 15 wardens new in box, and I'm waiting to build them and paint them for my Custodians army. I'm just hyper paranoid that what they're going to do is make spears bad and axes good in the codex, and so I'm just waiting. Yeah. Just waiting.
I'm gonna take this opportunity once again to remind people we have absolutely no idea what's coming.
We really
have no clue.
Honestly have no idea.
These are just the changes we would like to make.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, if we did know, we probably wouldn't make this video.
Definitely wouldn't make this video.
Because we'd either be talking about changes that we know aren't happening, or we'd be talking about changes we know are happening. Either one of which we're not doing.
Yeah.
So we do not have the changes. We do not know what the changes are. We're waiting, same as you.
Yeah. Oh, the Space Wolves attachment needs to be completely different. And that thing needs to just be redone entirely. It's garbage.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
It's really dumb.
It's pretty dumb. I remember us trying to, in the hotel lobby, just with the computer up, trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Well, remember our first list were 120 Blood Claws and Ulrich the Slayer.
Yeah, that was pretty dumb.
And then our first match was into 30 Custodian Shield Guard.
No, it wasn't. It was.
We played in the living room, and I ran 120 Blood Claws, and you ran you ran Custodians?
I ran Custodians.
You ran Custodians. And then I walked at you and you just killed me because you fought first.
I think I had double. Yeah, that was. It was. I think you charged 6 Terminators with 20 Blood Claws. And let's see what happens. And what happened was you died.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over some super chats because people have been super chatting some good stuff, and I want to see it. So let's go all the way up to the top.
Okay, everyone who joined the war room, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right. Here's Horus, there's Horus, everywhere's Horus, member for 7 months. Sanguinary Guard points drop. I don't know what AINEC stands for. But yes, please, Sanguinary Guard. I actually like the 3 wounds suggestion. I think they'd be sick. I think they'd be sick with 3 wounds.
3 wounds is a huge change.
It's a big point. I actually would rather have 3 wounds than to drop down to 30 or something.
Yeah.
30 points model. Yeah. Honestly, I think they could stand to be 30. Yeah. Because they're 35.
They don't hit that hard.
They hit like a Blade Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not that hard.
Which is fine, right?
All right. Red Rum, member for 12 months. Happy birthday, Quinton!
It is my birthday. It's so exciting.
This
is my birthday wish list.
I can't wait for 3 days of Jack Theory at LVO, all the circles and arrows. 2 questions. What was your biggest level up since joining Art of War, and what was the army you won your first GT with?
Oh, those are great questions.
So I am also looking forward to commentating at LVO with War Games Live Joe. So tune in to his YouTube channel, War Games Live, and we're going to be covering the biggest tournament of 10th edition, maybe? I don't know. I haven't been counting.
Yeah.
But very large.
Yes.
Las Vegas Open is a kind of capstone event of the ITC, and we will be commentating it together. I'm really looking forward to it.
So my biggest level up in terms of since joining Art of War was understanding, this is going to sound really dumb, but how to win games, right? Not just how to play well, but how to play to win the game.
Yeah.
Right? Before every time I would play a game, I would always ask myself, what is the best move here? And now I ask myself, how do I win the game? And sometimes dumb moves lead you to winning the game.
True, especially if you're behind.
Yes.
So what was the army you won your first GT?
It was Tau.
It was Tau.
Tau.
Mine was Grey Knights and Space Marines back in
Seventh,
edition,
seventh, yeah.
beginning of 7th, I think. I won the Nova Invitational with Centurion
Was
Star.
your first GT?
It was the first GT I won.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then the next month I won BFS with Demons. And then I went about 6 years without winning anything.
It's a mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty great. But yeah, I love those two armies.
James Tierney. Hi, Jones. Do orcs need any points changes? Thanks. I actually think orcs are totally fine.
I think orcs are fine.
I think orcs are totally fine.
I think there's some units in there. I think they need internal adjustments on some of the points.
I think in terms of all, I mean, every faction could use internal adjustments, but I think in terms of factions that are more fine than others, I think orcs are one of the most fine factions.
Yeah, I don't think orcs need tuning. But they'll probably get one if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Chris Todd, member for 6 months in the War Room Gold. Enjoyed seeing you guys at the Rubicon RTT this last weekend. Next time, go a little easier on us.
Sorry.
So Quinton and I went to an RTT this last weekend, just a few days ago. I brought my Custodes. You brought
world leaders.
You brought world leaders. A list that looks suspiciously similar to my Tampa list.
It was very different, Jack.
Yes.
I changed the name of the dog.
You did change the name because you don't miss Blood Angels.
No.
But it was a great time. Thank you guys for having us out.
Yep.
And I managed to get first. Quinton managed to get second.
He snuck it past me.
I got a lot of points in the last round. I don't know what to tell you.
I did not.
Right. But yeah, it was a ton of fun, and we're probably going to come out a lot more to
really,
the local RTTs and GTs.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Christian L. Hey guys, do you think giving Custodes back their 4-up against Dev Wounds will be enough, or do they need a points drop too? Thanks for all of the great content. Stay warm during this awful winter storm coming through the south. It is a balmy, 70-something degrees outside.
It's a little warm.
I was walking around in a t-shirt and shorts this morning.
I have my flops on, my flip-flops.
Yeah, so hope you guys are staying safe. We are totally fine.
Yes. Well, I mean, hopefully the temperature drops a little bit. I'm a cold weather boy.
It's actually kind of hot.
Yeah, it's a little warm
too warm
for mid-January. Please, come on.
We talked about this earlier, but I think 4+++ back plus some points drops.
So 4++++++. Yeah, if you get the 4 feeling the pain against Dev Wounds and I think a slight points drop. I think the characters got hit a little much.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you could reverse the points changes on the characters. Mm-hmm. Because you have to join the characters to a unit anyway. Yeah. It's just like a double compounding nerf on the units. Mm-hmm. I think you reverse the nerf on the characters and maybe drop a couple points on the units that are a little overcosted.
I agree.
Like Bikes could come down. Alaris, I think, could come down 5. Wardens and Guard maybe come down 5, maybe not. I don't think it would be a crazy thing.
I think the 4-up against Dev Wounds plus like you said, one extra character's worth of points, maybe 2 Squad Sisters of Silence, or a better brick.
Yeah, I think 2 extra Squads of Sisters plus an enhancement worth of points would be
fine.
Totally fine.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we have 2025 Cyborg John Lennon, his foot a toaster. Thank you, Kyle. The time portal cannot hold. If my message reaches you in the before time, beware the coming of the data slate, the Ripper, the convergence of doom.
I hope you have an excellent day, Kyle.
Yeah. So you heard it here first, folks.
Data slate is the end times.
The data slate's the end times. The convergence of Dominion is going to be crazy.
Could you imagine? Because you get 20 points for running it.
Oh yeah, easy. Davsto with a £2 super chat says toaster.
Thank you for that informative content.
Thank you. All right, we have John Apocalypse.
Member for 5 months. Hey guys, unrelated, but I'm starting my Slaves to Darkness army this year and wondering what your favorite AOS army is and will you play the Old World? Maybe on the Old World. My favorite is Sylvaneth by a country mile.
Yeah, mine is Soulblight. Mm-hmm. I like Soulblight Gravelords quite a bit, and with some Stormcast Eternals. Although when I got into AOS, they did not really play how I wanted to play. They were mostly, you take this 600-point unit and another 600-point unit, and then you save stack on them until they don't die.
Sylvaneth played exactly like how I wanted to play.
I'm sure. It's not like a 600. It was like a 480-point unit. Then you took Gardas and you took a Castellant, and you were like, you have a 1-up save with +1 and then Mystic Shield. Yeah. And then you charge with damage 3 on your Tempesters or whatever. Tempesters are the shooting ones. Tempesters are the one I liked. Anyway, Soulblight was sick. Mm-hmm. Old World, probably not. Man, I miss old 8th edition fantasy, but a third W game? Yeah. It's a lot.
I can't keep up with 40k these days.
Yeah, right? I have a World Eaters army I need to build and paint.
Prize support for LVO.
Whee!
Mike Percival, my proposed TSM fix. Dark packs go to the old Chaos Knight system. 1 mortal wound, roll for blessing. D3 mortal wounds if you pick blessing.
After mortal wound, you need to pass lead test or no buff.
I don't hate that, but I think it kind of defeats the elegance of the system as it is.
Yeah.
Didn't want to change that.
I don't honestly think Dark Packs needs to change. I think it's just that their units are priced like they don't have them, and they do.
Yeah, they need to be.
Broderick Engelhard, $2 super chat. I think that's Sons of Sanguinius suggestions. My Blood Angels need the love. Yes, I agree that they definitely do. I don't know how to really. I haven't really put too much thought in how to fix the Sons of Sanguinius. I think they just need a little more dynamism on something. Honestly, if you take one of the enhancements that's not great and you switch it for Wrath of Baal from 9th edition, I think the army gets a lot better.
That +2
move.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Hans Christian Braun, welcome to the Worm Gold. Thank you very much for your support. Adobo, would you be upset if at a tournament someone showed up with a very nicely painted White Scars army and ran them with Blood Angels, wanting to take advantage of Marine plus factions now that White Scars are only a thing? Not in the slightest. Jack over here ran the 7-nation Black Templars army to Crucible. No one noticed there.
No one cared.
No one cared.
People noticed. They just didn't care.
He had like 7 different Marine color schemes all in one. It was great.
I was borrowing.
There's some Borrowhammer there.
There's some Borrowhammer going on.
The Colgate, was it a Colgate Whirlwind?
There was a Colgate Whirlwind. We still have it. It's the only Colgate model we got. Nick's Sons of Colgate.
I made a short about them. And they went to the Great Warp Fire in the Sky.
Yes. All right. Red Rum. Basically, we wouldn't care at all.
I don't know anyone who would.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure there are people out there, but most people who go to tournaments do not care at all. Yeah. Red Rum, €2 super chat. Jack, how can they fix Custodes bikes?
Cheaper?
No, I honestly don't want them cheaper. What I want them to be is I want them to actually have the stats a Custodes bike should have. They are toughness 7 with 4 wounds.
Oh, wow. That is not where you want to be.
Sorry. I lied. They're toughness 6 with 4 wounds.
What? They're a Thundercav?
They're a Thundercav. They are less durable than a Terminator. They are the same durability as a Shield Guard.
Wow.
Yeah. So they need to be toughness 7 or 8 with 5 wounds. And then on top of that, their Melta missile needs to actually hit. Yeah. So I don't think they need points changes. In fact, I would probably say go up to like 90 instead of 85. Give them toughness 7 or 8. Give them a 5th wound. Make their Melta missile strength 10, damage 3 or something. Strength 12.
What are they right now?
Strength like 8, damage D3.
What?
Custodes bikes are very bad. I want you to know this. They are not. They are just Melta missile in that you can call them that. I'm going to pull up their stats for you.
They can't be this bad.
Virtus. So the captain on bike has some broken rules. The problem is the unit he has to go in. He once per game lets them make a normal move at the end of your opponent's fight phase.
That's good.
It's really good. The problem is they also have a rule where if you advance over an enemy...
Oh, you do like a bunch of mortals?
You do a bunch of mortals. The problem is you can't advance and do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So their ranged weapons, salvo launcher, is 9, 2, 3.
That's garbage.
It's terrible.
That's so bad.
They need to be strength 12...
One shot each?
One shot each. Strength 12, AP 4, damage 3. Or damage, they don't need to be D3 plus 3 again. Yeah. But like D3 plus 2 or something. Yeah. Or Melta. I think that's a great suggestion. Melta, yeah. I think they need to be like damage 3, Melta 2 or something. Yeah. And so if you're within 12, they do a bunch of damage and shooting. The Hurricane Bolter needs to not be 3 shots at a bolter profile. They can be 6 shots at rapid fire 6. Yeah. Like they need to have a real profile where they can do damage in shooting and actually tank hits. And then probably the captain's ability needs to be like a 6-inch normal move. Let's not give them a full normal move. And then their points could stand to go up. Yes. I just want them to perform like Custodes bikes instead of they don't shoot. They do punch. Okay. But they don't survive. Yeah. So let me just double check their toughness 6.
That's embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
That's actually embarrassing. Shadow War Philos. Change number 1, have Vanguard Space Marines attachment favor Phobos more. How would you fix Invictor Tactical Warsuits? If you had to run 3, how would you do it? Make them do a little bit more damage. I think they're fine. They're very okay.
Invictors don't do anything.
Yeah, they do more damage.
They need to do more damage. They need to have something. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Maybe have a spotting ability where like Phobos can spot and then you get real hits or something. Something like that.
Yeah. I actually kind of like Vanguard as it is. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think the Centurions are a little dumb.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. So I think that the ability shouldn't be for like really beefy units like Terminators or Centurions, the ability to go back up and down.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think it's fine.
Yeah. Rick Radu, what would you like to see for Grey Knights and dataslate? So I'm afraid of buffing Grey Knights because if you make them too good, then they become really, really good.
I think they could use a little bit.
I don't think their rules need to change. I think they could use some minor points drops.
Yep. Not a lot, just minor points drops.
Minor points, like an extra 100 points.
They're really hard to use.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that they're like terrible.
Yeah.
I think some minor points drops would be good for them.
Yeah.
Just enough to include like an extra strike squad or an extra rhino or something like that.
One more thing.
Yeah, just one more thing. Andres Teixeira, member for 5 months at the War Room Gold. I would drop both Blade Guard and Sangard. I think given the current edition state, Space Marines could use some tweaking on those. With aggressors, as there are little reason to pick Blade Guard vets. Happy birthday, Quinton. I agree that Blade Guard and Sangard are a little overcosted.
Yeah.
I think Sangard are like 5 points overcosted. I actually really love the change you proposed where they go to 3 wounds. I think that'd be sick.
Mm-hmm.
I think like 32, 33 point a model Sanguinary Guard. Honestly, 35 points a model with 3 wounds would be, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a really, really cool change. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to get that in like a data slate.
Yeah. Codex change.
It would be a codex change.
Probably if they get new models.
Oh God, don't tempt me like that, Quentin. I want new models so bad. I love Sanguinary Guard. It was my favorite unit in all of 9th edition. Not even close. Like, no contest. My favorite unit in 9th edition. And I barely put them on the table in 10th because they're so boring.
They're
and
great.
Flavor fail, for sure.
Yes.
Scott Nagao, message retracted, $5 super chat. But then, $5 super chat, what would be your changes for Custodes Dreads? 8-inch move.
Yeah, I was going to say +2 move.
Done. 8-inch move, 9-inch move, something in there.
Yep.
6-inch move kills them.
100%.
Yep.
Yep.
AV, welcome to the War Room Gold. Glad to have you here.
Sagwolf, thoughts on Stormlance getting a move through wall Stratford mounted? I would love that. That would help so much.
So like Knights of Shade, but
for Thunder
mounted.
Cav or Outriders or something.
Yeah.
I think that would fix Thunder Cav.
Then you have to find a different reason why you don't run them.
Because their data sheet's actually kind of bad. I was wrong. They're terrible. They're just garbage.
They're not garbage.
They're pretty bad.
They're unwieldy.
They're just bad.
I could make it work, I think.
You couldn't.
I think I could. I think I could do it.
No, you couldn't.
I probably could.
Oh, you want to play that game?
Oh, yeah, we'll put it on the schedule.
Put it on the schedule. Okay.
We'll put it on the schedule.
So no.
I'm just giving you crap.
I know. Do you guys think that Divergent chapters should not be allowed to use Codex Space Marine attachments? Would that fix the Marine Plus problem? Probably not. I think it's fine.
I do agree that there is a problem where if you're running White Scars, you're just not going to get as much out of Space Marines as you will if you're running like Templars.
Yeah.
Because Templars have more unique units and you can run the same detachments.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe when we see codexes for other, for Marine Divergent chapters come out, I would actually love to see like some restrictions on which detachments they can use.
Okay, that's fair.
I want there to be a reason to run,
Codex Marines.
Codex like Raven Guard.
Yeah.
There's
none.
Almost none.
Yeah.
Strike is pretty good, but he is not uniquely good, right?
Yeah.
Like White Scars. Khan is not amazing, so you're not running White Scars. There's just no reason to do it. So I would love to see when codexes come out, like maybe they can't use XYZ detachments.
Yeah.
Give you some reason to run basic Marines from the codex. Also, like there's no reason to run White Scars when you can run Ultramarines.
No.
Like, there just is not one.
I mean, it's Khan, but he's bad, so...
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Ryan G., what would you guys do for NIDS? They're currently still paying the free strat tax on Hive Tyrants, and the Codex is being carried by OC0 spam Biovores.
Don't actually think NIDS need major changes.
I don't think so. I think they could stand to use a little points drops, not much.
On a lot of their stuff. And then like,
Spore
Gargoyles.
Mines, why?
Gargoyles need to go up.
Gargoyles need to go up. I think several of their units could stand to go down. Mm-hmm. And then I think Biovores, why do Biovores just get behind enemy lines and teleport homers?
Yeah, they're real dumb.
It's really stupid. I would much rather give them some points drops and then just take it out away.
I think Spore Mines
really
shouldn't score points.
Yeah, Spore Mines, they wrote in that they don't score points, and then they were just like, I'm sure that's enough. Yeah, oh, they can do actions? That probably isn't important.
Yes.
I would love to give them some cheaper points on stuff in exchange for not having that interaction exist.
Brendan Bartlett, what Death Guard changes would you like to see and want a bit more Mortarion? I think Death Guard competitively are fine. I think the biggest change, like you said, is I want to see Mortarion go up 125 points.
And be good.
And be amazing. I want him to get like -1 damage. I want his auras to become way better. I want him to get like +3 strength attacks, AP damage. I want him to do all kinds of stuff, but be way more expensive.
You want to be damage 7?
No, I want him to be... What is Durgo's number at 7?
I think so.
I think so. Then yeah, damage 7.
7 attacks at damage 7?
Yeah. Well, the problem is he's 5 attacks at damage 4 with like no rerolls. He's garbage right now.
Yeah, he is quite not awesome.
But he shouldn't be 325 points.
I think you could stand to make several of the Death Guard units that are not Plague Marines better.
Yes.
And remove the ability to use contagions to buff
Brigands?
Brigands.
Yeah.
Because Brigands are the best unit in Death Guard.
Oh, it's not even close.
Yeah. And that probably shouldn't be the case. They should be good, but they should be good on their own merits. So I think if you made a lot of the non-Plague Marine units better, and then removed your ability to use contagions on Brigands, I think they'd stay around the same.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, what changes do you think Rough Riders would need to make them competitively A tier from the real Dracoria? I do not know Thank you for looking it up.
I pulled it up because I also didn't know what Rough Riders did. I assume you're talking about Rough Riders from Guard.
Yes, no, there's no other Rough Riders as far as I know.
They're a mediocre melee unit that's very cheap.
How cheap are we talking?
70 points for 5.
I see that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, they're okay. I mean, I think they just need to hit a little harder is all. They're not like that durable. Probably just need to hit a little harder. Maybe get some extra +1 attack or some extra strength or something, but they have lance.
I think +1 attack would be fine.
I think +1 attack would be okay.
+1 attack. Grokvar. I'm depressed that Space Wolves work better with Stormlance than White Scars. Anything GW would do to improve, some ignore chapters. The problem is, your options is either support all the chapters and like give them codexes, which is a lot of work, or we're kind of in the situation we are right now, where you just take like con and nothing else. And I think it's probably... I don't want to say it's better that we're ignoring them, but the other option would be to just give White Scars their whole own codex.
I mean, I think that would objectively be better, right? Like,
yeah.
How do we fix it in the current paradigm of codex design, which is tough? Because they're purposely making the differences between chapters less,
yes,
but they still exist, which means you're going to take... Like, it is a legitimate problem. You're taking Ultramarines or Black Templars right now in Space Marines, and that's it. And it's not because those chapters do anything you want, it's just because they have a bigger selection of units. And they get all of the normal units, but they also get... It's they get Marines, and then they get more. And so if you want to play White Scars, you just get Marines, which is fine, but you don't get more.
So a lot of those specific chapters have, you could not include X units in the detachments.
Yes.
What you could say is, if you include any Black Templar specific units, you cannot include these units in your detachment.
Yes.
So Templars couldn't get an apothecary.
That's why would Templars not get apothecaries? They have apothecaries. Space Wolves, you're thinking of.
Space Wolves wouldn't get apothecaries. Black Templars wouldn't get librarians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never included them. I could have included Librarian of my Gladius Templars, and I just don't because absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you made it so that if you included, Black Templars in the Righteous Crusaders detachment, you can use any unit you want.
Yeah.
But if you include it in the Stormlance, you remove some options.
Yeah.
So that means that White Scars at least have something. Realistically, I think each chapter needs something like a unit or a unit or two to make them a draw. Because White Scars don't have one, Crimson Fists don't have one, Imperial Fists don't have one. It's only the characters. So either they need to make the characters legitimately really good, or what I really like is if they just added a unit or two for each thing, or said X unit gets better if you are Crimson Fists, right? Like,
I think that's a great option.
Yeah, I think if you made Outriders specifically just like significantly better in White Scars, then that would make the Stormlance at least
+1 damage on all their weapons if you're playing a White Scar.
Yeah, like on the charge you get +1 damage.
Yep.
If you're playing White Scars, that I think would be the cool way to do it.
Yeah.
Is take existing data sheets, so you don't have to make new units, new sculpts for every single army. But you say if you're running White Scars, Outriders get +1 damage on the charge, and Intercessors in jump packs get +1 to their roll to do the mortal wounds.
So yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think that would be super cool. I think Crimson Fists, Imperial Fists would get their own unique units.
Like heavy Intercessors would ever get better, something like that.
Heavy Intercessors get better, Centurions get better, that sort of thing. So I think that would be a really cool way to fix it, actually.
Red Rum, do you want or expect any changes for World Eaters? I think World Eaters are probably fine.
I think World Eaters are
World
fine.
Eaters are fine.
They have a low amount of units, but their units do a lot. But they have a low amount of units.
Yeah, I think they're probably okay.
Quinton played his first 3 games with them
This
weekend. He got his first 3 adrenaline rushes of his young life.
I got Angron back on turn 2. It was awesome.
Yeah, he yeeted him into the fire on turn 1, being like, "I'll get him back." And he did.
It was awesome.
Corn rewards your favor.
I know.
Or he rewards your faith.
Michael Jansen, is there any way to fix the Anvil Siege Force? Short answer, make it better.
I mean, just make the payoff for doing it more.
The problem is you jump through a lot of hoops, and then you don't actually get that much reward. If you're playing on Planet Bowling Ball, it's actually pretty good, because you want to stand still.
I think if they have 1 CP count as stationary instead of one of their lesser used strats, I think
that would fix it.
That would help.
Fix it, yeah.
They just have no way to count as being stationary, and remaining stationary sucks in 40k. It just sucks really bad.
It means your unit isn't doing anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin Waycaster says, how do you feel about GSC at the moment?
I believe John and I put them in like B tier.
I think
They're fine.
I think they're fine.
They're fine.
They're fine.
They're fine. They're a little clunky, but they're balanced externally.
They are a little. They kind of have a little bit of the T-Suns problem, where they are overcosted on a lot of their units, but the units do too much damage, so you can't fiddle with like any of that. If they got a reduction in damage and a steep reduction in points, I think that'd be fine.
Yeah.
On some of their like hammer units, right? Their acolytes and their neophytes don't need to be as high as they are. Like I think acolytes are 180 for 10.
Yeah, because they delete anything.
Because they drop rods from God on people. Like they do so much damage.
If only there was a way to make the demo charges cost more and the acolytes cost less.
All right, heretic. I think you just make demo charges.
Separate
you
unit?
can throw 1 every time you activate,
works.
and then you drop the unit down a lot.
I think
you make them like legitimately 120 points, and you only throw 1 demo charge at a time.
Or you say acolyte with demo charge, 1 unit. Acolyte with knives, separate unit. And you drop that one by 100 points.
Yes, but I also think demo charge acolytes just like realistically shouldn't exist.
Yeah, they're dumb.
But I also don't think they should be 18 points a model. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. Tim G. I think we're at our last super chat.
I believe so.
Are we too close to a new mission pack to hope for changes to tactical, like no capture enemy outposts on turn 1? Also, buff Tau.
Probably. I don't know. I have no idea when the new mission pack's coming out, if we're going to get one. I would like to see one just for some variety.
Yeah, I definitely think that their capture enemy outposts on turn 1 just should not be real.
I don't see what your problem is. I get it all the time.
All right, well, you don't get against me all the time. Get out of here with that.
Warp spiders.
Yeah, I definitely think that if you draw capture enemy outposts on turn 1 and your opponent draws on turn 5, the delta there is so significant.
Huge, yeah, 16 points.
Yeah. So I definitely think that we're probably, we don't know what the release schedule is for new mission packs if they are going to do it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know what their plan is in that direction, but I definitely think capture enemy outpost should not be achievable on turn 1. You should have to redraw it at that point.
I completely agree.
Yeah. I also think that investigate signals is dumb, but it's dumb in a way where I'll just roll my eyes and it's fine.
Yeah. Chosen battlefield needs a fixed center. That was a good point.
Yeah, I still think chosen battlefield is pretty stupid even with a fixed center, but at least it's anyway, it'll work.
We have a super chat last one.
We have one last super chat.
Philip, so sorry.
I'm not going after that. A member for 12 months of the War Room Gold. Thank you so much. We love you. Do you see any changes happening to world leaders? Keep up the good work.
Maybe some points, minor points increases. I think world leaders are totally fine. I don't.
If you are using us
yes.
to gauge whether or not world leaders will get a nerf or a buff or anything, we do not know, and we have no way of knowing. So don't use us as do we see any changes happening?
Yeah.
We have no idea.
Do
we think changes should happen?
Probably not.
Probably not.
World leaders are fine.
They're good, but armies can be good.
They have issues, yeah. Armies are allowed to have cool things.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we cannot predict whether or not they're going to get any changes. So if you're using us as that, I would probably say just wait till the data slate comes out to make your decision.
It should come out nebulously somewhere in January.
Yeah. That's roughly the time scale. So
yeah. Yep.
All right. I think that's it for us for today. Thank you so much. If you want to, can't see that. If you want to take us to the end screen, but we love you guys so much for being here with us. Please, if you like the video, like it. Subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos like this, and go to the warroom.vhx.tv if you want to see even more videos like this, where we dive deep into topics to help you become a better Warhammer player. There's a 3-day free trial. You can check out everything we got. And just to round us out, we got one last super chat.
From JMedic88. So guard around 46%. They seem good, but not great. And this is just missing something. What would you change to bring them to that 50% win rate? Probably very minor points drops.
Yeah, minor points changes. I mean, 46% is low, but it is within acceptable. The range.
Yeah.
So I think some small changes to lowering the points cost on units you don't really see that much.
Yeah, give them
would be all right.
50, 100.
If they do get an indirect fire nerf, then I think guard needs some actual some serious point changes.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll see you later. Have a wonderful day, and until next time, goodbye.
Bye bye.